Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Rustbelt Collector here with yet another review unboxing. Today we're looking at these four awesome vintage collection 3 3/4 inch figures. Got Zori Bliss here, the Knight of Ren, the Sith Jet Trooper, and of course Luke Skywalker as an X-Wing pilot. We're going to look at all four of them. I'm going to put time codes down in the description so that if you're not interested in certain ones of these, you can jump ahead, take a look at them individually, and skip to the one you want. I had the opportunity to get the rest of them. These are the four that I was interested in out of that wave. Wasn't really concerned about Rey or some of the other characters. These four looked really interesting. These two especially I think will look really great in my crossover cantina. If you're not familiar with that, you can check it out on my Instagram page. The link is down in the description. I do a lot of toy photography, and it's one of the dioramas that I custom built. So starting off here, we're going to take a look at the Zori Bliss character. Nice vintage collection card as always. The Rise of Skywalker as the header there. On the back side here, we just have all the different characters from this wave and the last wave. There's a little bit of a warp to this card, as you can see, but it's not too bad. I open all my figures anyways, so it's not a big deal to me. Let's get it out of the package. Okay, so taking a look at the figure out of the package, you've got this nice, really cool head sculpt going on here with this really wacky helmet. It's got a double ball joint in the head, so you got a lot of range of motion going on. Up, forward, you can pop it off, you can see in there. It's a bit of articulation for such a small figure. You've got nice outward at the shoulders, that one will go all the way up. Really small joints, for the more thin character, so it's a little nerve-wracking trying to bend them and everything, but I think it's just fine. I mean, they're really durable, it seems. You get a good 90 at the elbow. You get a swivel at the wrist, not a hinge, because they are way too small for that. You also have this nice torso articulation with a ball joint there. Now for the hips, you have the typical TVC hinge swivel kind of thing, so if you want to go out, you can go outward. If you want to go forward, you have to spin it like so and then go forward. It gives it a nice, it also has a swivel here at the leg to straighten the leg. It's a nice feature. I know some people like one over the other. I think this is good. You can get a really nice bend to the leg that way. You can get them into a more natural seated position with hips that are designed like this. I mean, I don't know many figures that could normally do this. You got nice knee joints here. You got the typical foot joint. But with the hips like this, I mean, you could get down into like a crouched or a kneeling shooting position if you wanted to. It's not something that they typically do with some of the older figures, so again, it's personal preference, but I think that the hinge and swivel of this is actually a nice feature for the TVC collection. So then to take a look at the weapons that she comes with here, we'll stand her up there, or try to. Very small feet to try and balance the figure on, but still stands up pretty well. She comes with these really awesome, let's see if I can get to focus, these really awesome little pistols. They almost remind me of like a sawed-off shotgun. They've got these really nice gold detailing going on, and both of them are the same. She can either hold them in her hands or she can holster them. So yeah, just like that. She can hold them, look like a classic Western gunslinger with them. You can get some really cool articulated poses with it, just like that. I think that's really awesome. Like I said, they can also just slide right into the holster. Looking at these holsters, I'm not sure if the character holds the blasters in them like this, actually, like a cross draw from the old Westerns, which I think that's actually how they fit in better than if they fit like that. Okay, so looking at the card back here, it does show that she has them cross-drawn, so the hilt's facing inward like I have it here, which is an interesting design. I like that. I like the old Western movies and stuff, so it's kind of cool to have a character with cross-draw holsters instead of standard holsters. Okay, so next up, we're going to look at the TVC Luke Skywalker X-Wing pilot. Now, I'm not as familiar, I'm only recently getting back into this, so I'm not sure if this figure was released before and this is like a re-release of some kind. If it is, let me know. You know, I think this is a new figure for the line, but I could totally be wrong about that. Regardless, I think it's a really nice X-Wing pilot figure. The face sculpt on Luke is really nice, especially for the scale. You got the classic vintage card back, and again, the same back as before. Let's get this bad boy open and see what the figure's like. And there we have it out of the box. Really solid figure. Honestly, the articulation appears to be about the same as Zori Bliss. I mean, you've got a double ball hinge going on at the head for a lot of forward and backwards. You got the same upward hinge at the elbow, and then actually the only difference that I see here is his hands are hinged. You got the up, down, you got the in and the out, which is nice, especially since he's got the size of gloves to be able to actually allow for that articulation. You've got some nice torso bending here. It doesn't look like that's going to come out, so that's safe there, the tube there. He's got the same hips going on with the that hinge and swivel, if that's the proper term for it. Like I said, I'm really bad with all the names for the hinges and swivels and, you know, rockers and whatever. I try my best, but I try also to demonstrate it in action so that you can get a feel for what it's supposed to do. If you have him in a seated position like this, he could fit really well in the new Vintage Collection X-Wing, even though it's for Poe Dameron or whatever. I mean, it would work for him. And here you got some good knee articulation. You got a hinge at the foot. Typical, no rock or anything like that. Just your standard articulation for a TVC figure. He also includes his removable helmet, which has really nice paint apps on it. All the red markings for him to be Red 5, like in the movie. And that slips on really nicely. It looks, you know, it kind of looks large, but honestly those helmets were really large in the movie, just the way that the props were, so, I mean, I think that fits just fine on him. He then also includes this little tiny blaster, which I think is basically the same as Han Solo's. It's what he uses in The Empire Strikes Back. He doesn't have a holster, unfortunately, so it's just kind of something that he can either hold or... But it looks cool, and goes well with the figure, and if you have him piloting an X-Wing, then you have an extra blaster to go with any other figure that you might use. So yeah, that's a really solid figure. I like that a lot. If it was a re-release from the TVC, you know, just a repack or something, I never got it originally, so it's nice to have it now. Now, moving on to the Sith Jet Trooper. This is a really cool figure. I actually wasn't really sold on this figure until I saw it in stores, and then, you know, just seeing it, seeing the red, seeing the weapons that he comes with, I was just like, all right, I gotta try it. As you can see on the card here, you know, you got the nice artwork for the character, vintage, Rise of Skywalker, the card back, and yeah, let's get this guy open. Alright, so this figure is really awesome. In fact, more awesome than he was in the package. Again, you know, I wasn't really sold on this whole Jet Trooper design. I still don't like the standard Jet Trooper, the white one. I mean, seriously though, this guy just looks so sinister with that red and just like a slit for a visor. I think he does differ from the standard Jet Trooper just a little bit in that, you know, obviously he's red, but he's also got, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but he's got those like little lines, the stripies that the Sith Trooper has, you know, all over his armor. He's got it on his head there, and then he's got it on his shoulders, his chest, a little bit on his legs. So I don't know exactly the difference, like if the armor is the same on the standard Jet Trooper. I never got to see the 6-inch Black Series in person, so I wasn't really paying attention to that. So he does have some differences from the standard Jet Trooper, just beyond the red coloring that he has. But I think it looks really good. I would love it if they actually released then the white Jet Trooper in 3 3/4 inch, and then, you know, opposite of that, they released the 6-inch version of this red figure. Looking nice and up close at him here. You can see he's got some really nice sculpting detail on the helmet. Again, I think that's a double ball joint, so he's got some pretty good range of motion, even for a helmeted figure with, you know, bulky armor. But side to side, forward, back, his shoulders only do about that. They don't really tuck into the chest armor as well as I'd hoped. You know, he's got good elbows right there. Interesting little, like, Interesting little fins there, you know? Maybe that's for aerodynamics while he's flying. He's got them on his boots as well. Kind of reminds me of the old G.I. Joes, the Jet Trooper G.I. Joes that would have fins like that on the legs and stuff. I don't remember the characters' names, but I had him as a kid. Doesn't have much of a crunch, but he does have a swivel. Same thighs as the other figures that I was talking about. He's got the swivel there that can be kind of swung around for a forward. A little bit inhibited here because of the armor, so be mindful of that. Can't really force it past that. Good knee bends, and then of course, you know, your foot. Typical foot. I think this is a really awesome figure. I wasn't totally sold on it before, but yeah, now seeing it in person, it really is awesome. It does have hinges on the hands, not just a typical swivel, so you got the both up and down for this figure, which is nice. I think that's like upgraded to me in terms of articulation. And as you can see here on the back, he's got the jetpack sculpted into the armor. That is not removable, but it still looks really nice. It's a cool aerodynamic jetpack, you know, not your typical Jango Fett jetpack. Taking a look at the weapons now, you can see he's got this like upgraded blaster rifle. I don't really know what the typical name is for the First Order E11 equivalent, basically, but it's got a much thicker barrel with like some cooling vents on it. Then he also comes with this submachine gun type blaster. Again, I don't know the technical name for it, but it looks like a submachine gun of some kind, you know? Something that maybe like a G.I. Joe would come with, honestly. Okay, sorry for some of the weird cutting that probably is going on, and just changes in camera setup and everything. Unfortunately, my camera's been having some weird issues lately, and so it forces me to reshoot certain scenes, like this one. But just looking at the weapons being held by the Sith Jump Trooper, they look really cool. I like the more tactical way that they approach these figures, or actually these characters in general. It doesn't feel like just a space age blaster, you know, like it does with the Stormtrooper. It feels a lot more tactical. Feels more like they are elites, you know. It reminds me a lot actually of how the Republic Commandos are designed. We'll give him this other blaster here really quick just to show what that looks like. It's really nice. I think I prefer this one over this one, but you know, it's personal preference for me. The other cool thing is with this blaster, it's got this little peg here that can slot into his leg and he can hold it. It's a little clunky there, but it does go there. This blaster does have one as well, but I couldn't get it to fit, so that might just be a detail on the blaster that wasn't meant to go into the leg. But yeah, this is a really, really cool figure. I mean, just everything about it is a very intimidating new force to be reckoned with, and I hope that he's a good character in Rise of Skywalker. I don't know what that movie's going to be like, you know. I'm keeping my expectations fairly low, but regardless, it gave us another cool trooper figure. I might have to pick up another one of these just to go with it. I think that out of the box, I'm even more impressed with the design than I was when it was on the card. So yeah, there's the review of this figure. Now on to the Knight of Ren. Alright, now on to the figure that is probably most anticipated by collectors. I only found this one, and I was lucky enough to get it right out of the box as they were putting it on shelves, and that's it. I've seen all the other figures on other shelves. I haven't seen this one ever again. I think this one is just the one that people are kind of army building right out of the gate. As you can see here, some really nice card detailing. All of them have really cool card backs. I think that these pictures might be a little bit more animated. They don't look like still frames from the movie, so probably to avoid spoilers, these are composite pictures versus like, you know, the Luke X-Wing pilot. It was actually a picture from the movie, but it makes sense why they would do that. As you can see, Rise of Skywalker. The back is just the typical back as we saw with all the other figures. Now let's get this figure out of the box. Now with this figure, I'm actually going to change things up, and I'm actually going to start by looking at the weapon first. As you saw maybe in the box, it comes in two different parts. You've got this like Gimli looking axe head, you know, reminds me of Gimli's axe head from Lord of the Rings, and then you got this really ornate staff, and I think it just kind of plugs into one of these ends. And there we go. This weapon is just really cool, and there you go. This guy does not want to stand up very well because of this bulky rubber cape, and we'll get to that when we take a look at the figure. That's when we'll get to that. All right, he's just gonna lay down for now. But yeah, this axe is really cool, really long as well. But yeah, this axe is really coolly designed. I like it a lot. I like the leather strapping there, you know, to give it a little detail. It's really tall in comparison to the figure too, which is sweet. I mean, it's very medieval in its design, which is probably, you know, intentional. It's called the Knight of Ren. He's supposed to look like a knight. He's given medieval weapons. And I think I read recently that these guys are not, they're not Sith. They're like worshippers of the Sith or followers of the Sith, and they're not trained in like a lightsaber combat. They're just warriors that follow Kylo Ren. So yeah, there's that. We'll take a look at the figure now. Really cool design, honestly. I mean, just look at this. He's got these metal detailed bracers on. He's got these really cool shin guards that are just brutal looking. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of like the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings, if you've ever watched that. He's got this big heavy cloak on him with some nice weathering. That's a problem for him standing up, but it looks cool regardless. We'll go in close here for his face mask. It's a really nice design there with like matte and gloss finish going on. He kind of looks, you know, a little bit like Darth Vader mixed with a skull, and I really like that about it. I mean, it's just very unique. He's got these cloak bits, I don't know what you would call them, that are just coming off of like a hood that he's wearing almost. Not really sure how to describe that, but he's got good head articulation. Again, double ball joint at the head. If you come in here, he's got the cape attached back here. If you peel it back, you can see that. But it does allow you to get his arms up like that. The cape will kind of bend away from it. It's not great articulation for the shoulders, but it works. It's serviceable. And we'll just move this back so you can see he's got good torso articulation. Same hips as before with the straight out, you know. And then knees like this. He's actually got some kind of like knee pad going on there, it looks like. It's a cool little sculpt detail. Again, we'll probably learn more about this when the movie comes out, you know. We'll figure out just how awesome these guys really are, or they will go out like chumps, you know, like Snoke. Or like the Jedi Masters that tried to take the Senate. You know, because those guys died in like 3 seconds, and they were masters, so that's kind of dumb. But anyways, yep, you got your typical foot here, you know, on a hinge. Doesn't have any rocker or anything, but still really good articulation in these legs. I mean, these are some of the best designed legs that we've seen on any figure, especially back, you know, I'm thinking of like the Revenge of the Sith line and stuff like that. They were good, but these are next level. Oh, and something I forgot here at the hands, you do have a hinge, just like that, up and down, and I believe here also, yep, up and down, or down and up, whichever one I said first. Now let's take a look at this guy holding the weapon. I'm assuming that he would hold it something along the lines of this. I mean, it seems a little impractical with the size of it, but you never know. Maybe these guys really know how to wield such heavy, long weapons. I think it looks really intimidating. I can't wait to see these guys in action. And yeah, just overall, this is a really awesome looking character. I love the design. I love the axe. I wish the cape was either soft goods or somehow made to be a little bit lighter so that he could just, you know, he's not going to stand up. You have to kind of, yeah, there's really not a way that I see that he's going to stand without maybe having a base or leaning forward. Yeah, I just don't see it, maybe without a base or something. Here I finally got him to stand up, but I mean, it's not very stable. He's kind of on one toe back here. So I'm a little bit worried about putting him on a shelf because he'll probably just tip over. And yeah, that's been my review of these 4 wonderful vintage collection action figures. If you spot these in store in person, I'd say definitely get them. If you find this guy in store, he's probably going to be hard to find, but he's worth getting. These two are probably a little bit more common to find, but still definitely worth the pickup. And Luke, I feel like he'll probably end up being a peg warmer, but you know, if you like the classic trilogy, he's a good one to pick up as well. Great articulation across the board. My only issue was with the figure here, where his cloak was just so heavy that he doesn't stand up very well. But apart from that, he's got a great sculpt, great weapon, and I guess there's not really much else to not like about him. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button, leave a comment down below which ones of these TVC figures you'll be picking up maybe this week or next. If you want to stay up to date with more videos like this on my channel, hit that subscribe button and maybe even hit that bell. I don't know what it does, but it probably means that something good happens. I don't know. Also, you can check out the link in the description of this video to my Instagram page. I do a lot of toy photography, and these figures probably will be showing up there very soon, especially this one and this one. I think they're going to show up in the crossover cantina, which will be a really interesting event. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.